This podcast is a proud member of the UUOP network.
This is episode 691 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast for December 2nd, 2025. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. We are taking a step back a little bit this week to talk a little bit more about Halloween Horror Nights. I am here with Michelle. Chris was supposed to be here, but he isn't. But we have a very special guest. I would like to welcome Christian Stokes onto the show. Christian, thank you for joining us so much.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited. We have been Facebook friends for a long time, and I've been looking for an excuse to get you on the show for so long. And then I saw Five Nights at Freddys get announced for Horror Nights this year and went, there it is.
Yep, there it is.
So, Christian, welcome to the podcast. Can you give our listeners a sort of brief rundown of who you are, what you do, and how you got there, and what your connection to Universal Orlando is?
Sure. So my name is Christian Stokes. I am an actor. I'm an actor stuntman. Oddly enough, I grew up in East Texas. It's what I call the melting pot of all things entertainment there in East Texas. So obviously I did not know that this was on the menu. So it took me a few years to figure out that I could make a living as an actor or stuntman. And I went to school to be an actor. And as soon as I got out of school, I started waiting tables in Dallas. It was intern 101. What can I get you to drink? And then a couple of years of that, I started auditioning for little things, and I wound up auditioning for a stunt show at Six Flags Over Texas, and they hired me as an actor. And while I worked with those guys, what was a summer job became a career, and I worked with those guys for years and years and traveled the world with them. And I ain't no dummy, so I picked up the stunt work as well. So by the time I was done with the first 3 years in that company, I had become a verified stuntman. My acting skills were still there. I was managing the company. That's where it all started. And I kind of followed the whole live show trend in the beginning. Never in a million years would have thought that I would have started that little show at Six Flags Over Texas and then kept going. And I kept going and I kept going. And there's an interesting thing. I always wanted to work at Universal Studios, and I always wanted to work at the Wild West Stunt Show because when I was like 19, 20, my mom took a bunch of us to Universal, and it just opened, and I saw the Wild West Stunt Show, and I'm like, that's for me. Okay. That's what I want to do.
Awesome.
And so while everybody's running around looking for rides, I have no idea how to get hired for a Wild West stunt show. So I'm walking around like, who takes the applications for this? Who's the HR manager? I need to speak to that person. And it was crazy. And so while I was on the road, I was in Taiwan at one point. I was in Germany for a couple of years. Wow. I was in San Francisco, and we were doing all these shows, these live action stunt shows. And I was looking at Orlando being my home base, and I desperately wanted to do the Wild West Stunt Show. And so I wrote a letter of introduction to John Zimmerman, who was the stunt coordinator for the Universal Parks at that time.
Yep.
And I never heard anything. And so when I moved to Florida, I auditioned, and I made my way through the auditions, and John pulled me aside and said, you know what? You're the only person that ever wrote me a letter. And I said, when I get this guy, I'm going to give him a shot. And so that was like a year and a half later. And I was competing with my best buddy for the Cole contract. So we both got hired. My best buddy and I both got hired. We just moved to Orlando. And Lyle Scott was his name. I was competing with him for the open contract. And I said, I love you, buddy. but I'm going to love you after I get this contract.
It's interesting. We interviewed a friend of Chris, who's normally on the show with us, a friend of his who lives in Florida, who was also on the Wild Wild West Stunt show. I don't know whether you know him, Ron Fox.
I know Ron very well. Yes, indeed. Silver Fox. Yeah, I did many shows with Ron.
It's unfortunately a show that had closed by the time I visited Universal Orlando for the first time, so we never got to see it. But I did kind of see a version of it at Portaventura in Spain when that was owned by Universal back in 1999, and they looked a very similar show, to be fair.
That would have been my first year at Universal in 1999 doing the Wild West Stunt show. And there is still, the full show is online. I think it's universaladventures.com. And it's my show, and it blows me away every time I go watch it. I'm like, oh, look at there. That's
nice.
Me. So,
cool.
So, yeah, that's my story. That's how I got to Universal, and I loved Universal. I still love Universal. It's one of my favorite times of my life.
Yeah, well, since we're talking about that, let's dig in a little bit more. So you played Cole Hopper.
Cole Hopper, that's right.
You're right.
Notorious Hopper brothers.
I unfortunately never got to see the show either, so I'll have to go to that link that you just mentioned and watch it. But and you already told us how you landed that role. But what was it like performing in the show? Like, what was your experience of being one of the actors also who closed it out?
It was the most fun. I'd still be there today doing that show. It was so much fun, honestly. I've done a lot of film and TV stuff, but the root of my love is live performance.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things is when the show would start and all the baddies would come out of the barn and we'd get out in the crowd and I'd make the crowd scooch over, scoot. And then I'd go sit someplace else. And it was just that whole energy from the crowd going, oh, man, I loved it. I love playing bad guys. And I got to really go full on bad guy form. For me, the Wild West show encompassed everything that I was as a performer. Acting was my dream. So you're performing, stunt work. It ended up being what brought me to the dance. And so I got to hone my craft every day with fights. And I did a 24-foot fall off the top of the building every day, multiple times a day. In fact, I don't know the exact number that I did at Universal, but I have a rough estimate of 13,000 high falls.
Wow.
in my career. But they average about that 24 foot, right? That 24 foot. And if you put all my falls together, I think it came out to be like 47 miles.
Wow.
Something like that in the air. Great. I thought it was ridiculous when I did that. I'm like, I messed up the math. And I went back and it was right. And it's crazy because that's conservative. I didn't keep track of everything.
No.
So that was as far as at that point, like, that's enough. That's enough. I mean, 47.5 miles, who cares?
That's impressive. I have fallen in the air 47 miles. I don't think very many people can say that.
No.
Yeah. And I tell, it's funny. I tell everybody I did my most fantastic stunts I did for free because it was me being a lunatic doing, trying to walk and falling on my face and stuff. So those are that was the controlled experiment. So I loved it. Listen, being in that cast, we were like a family. So the group that we were very, 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 very tight. And I got the opportunity to go and open the Wild West show in Japan, in Osaka.
That's cool.
And so I was there for a year. I was show captain for that. And man, it's just, I got all these amazing opportunities through Universal. And I love the movies. I grew up on these things. At the time I was starting there, you had Jaws next door, you had King Kong, you had the E.T. ride, and Men in Black came in while we were there. And I was just like going, wow, man, it was so cool to be living in the movies is the way I felt, So
that's so awesome.
Even to this day, when I go back to Universal, there's so much nostalgia. I'll go watch the Nightmare Fuel show, and I'll just sit in there and I irritate everybody with me. I'm like, this is I used to be in here. That's where I did my high fall from. This is where we did this and this. People just they scooch away from me because they like, this guy. We want to watch the show, not go through your, dreams here.
No, I love that. It's awesome.
And it was a very sad thing for me the day that they closed up the show. because it was such a big part of my life. But a door closes and a window opens, right? So at that time in my life, I had just done my first big feature film, right? And I just got Taft Hartley and was SAG eligible, and a little old movie called Monster.
Okay.
And Charlize Theron was the lead. And so that happened right about the time the show closed. And so our last show happened, and not long after that, I was off. I moved to Los Angeles to take advantage of being in this show that everybody was seeing. Charlize wins the Academy Award.
Yeah.
So that door closed, but it opened a window, and that's where I stepped into the film and television aspect. And when I said earlier that if that show was open, I'd still be doing it, it's true. And I would have never done any of the film stuff. I would have been all into the live show stuff because it's such a love.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's interesting to say that. We've heard that a lot from people who've worked at Universal, that it ends up being such a close-knit community and that people end up making friends for life. We hear it so much.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We all went through something together. It's like a band of brothers. It's a bond. And this fellow by the name of Scott Sarich, who we went to Japan together and opened that show, and then we did our show back home. And we can go years without talking to each other, and the next time we talk to each other, it's just like I saw him yesterday.
Yep.
The whole bunch. It's the same way. We're all tight. We're all on socials together. We pop up in each other's feeds, and we like to tease each other a lot, and we still do that.
Awesome.
So it's pretty creative.
I guess when you do a stunt show like that, you've got to be tight with people because you've got to be able to trust them. I guess when you're doing those stunts, because if it's not done correctly, someone gets hurt.
Yeah, at the end of the day, listen, stunts is really safety, right? It's safety. And when you're doing, you'll do a movie stunt and you'll do it several times, maybe a dozen, maybe 20. But when you're done, you're done. And then you scrap it and you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But when you're doing a live show, I was there for about 6 years, right? And I mean, you're doing shows 5 days a week, sometimes 6 times a day, and it's the same stunts. And so, the safety aspect of it, when you're doing a fist fight, you got to be getting that eye contact with your fighter to make sure you're not getting ready to get your block knocked off. You're coming in to do the leap, and they're throwing me through the wall, and you trust these guys. You work with these guys so many times that it's just like clockwork, which can be dangerous in its own, because you get to the point where you're just doing it by rote. You're not paying attention to details.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets you. That's where it'll get you. So, we all worked very hard together and took care of each other, and was looking out for each other. And I think that's part of that bond, because not only now that you've gotten through the safety stuff, that trust, trust it's not something that you just don't let loose. Yeah. So I trust these people the rest of my life. I'll be around these people. Yeah, I trust them. We're friends. They got my back. I got theirs. So it's a special thing.
Absolutely. And it's funny as well, because you see, we sort of seen the live show at theme parks sort of go away a little bit over the last sort of 10 years, but then slowly start to sort of creep back in now with something like the Born Stuntacular is kind of, I would say, like the next step up from the Wild Wild West Stunt Show, and I adore that show so much.
Yes, absolutely. It's fun because the theme parks went to roller coasters, because you don't have to pay roller coasters health benefits and you don't have to pay their pension,
That's true.
And so there was a step towards that, but people miss shows. Yeah. I mean, we've been sitting around campfires since we were cavemen telling stories. And so these stories that we're telling, they're some pretty advanced campfires. That Born show is pretty cool. Yeah. But I think that's the future of live show. It's more of an immersive connection that, once an audience has been brought into a show and participates in a show, and it's hard to go back just to watching from the proscenium. At that point, it's hard to just be an onlooker. You want to be involved in some way. So the more immersive these shows become, the more we break that fourth wall, the more I feel that people are going to enjoy that kind of those kind of productions.
Yo deseo ir a México.
Where can our vacation wizards take you? Just tap the port key at portkeyvacations.com and let the magic begin.
So, Christian, I have to ask, while you were at the Wild 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 West Stunts, we have to get those three wilds in, don't we? Into the Wild 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 West Stunt show. Do you have any funny or interesting stories that you think our listeners would be interested in your time there?
Yeah, I got some interesting stories. So first of all, that group was a hoot. So we lived way off the reservation out there. There wasn't a lot out there during my time. You had the Wild West. Men in Black had just come in, but there wasn't a lot going on out there. So we were kind of, we were in our little golf cart acting fools, man. we were putt-putting everywhere. Some of the craziest folks I've ever worked with, Randy Vaughn and Brian Davis, those cats. We every Tuesday we'd have Pop-Tart Tuesday, right?
Okay.
So we bring in, I still do that to this day, wherever I'm at. If I'm working a Tuesday, I bring in my Pop-Tarts and let everybody and have a good time with our Pop-Tart Tuesday. So one story in particular, it was around Halloween, and we were doing the Wild West show while Halloween Horror Nights was at night. And this is towards the beginning of my stint. And so we worked all day. And I wanted to stay and do the Halloween Horror Nights because I hadn't fully done a full Halloween Horror Nights. And so I stuck around, and I was all night at Halloween Horror Nights. Had such a great time. Awesome. And then we went over to the infamous Ale House and had had an even greater time. And so by the time I got home, it was crack of dawn. I had to be back at work. And so when I got to work, I was still all bleary-eyed and just tired. And I would do this thing. So when we would meet and greet, the people would come by, and me and my ma, Nona Lee Davis, right? So we would get our photo with people, and I would do this thing where I would put my hand on their back, and I'd run up their back like a spider. It's Halloween. Yeah. So I go, spider, and I'd smack it, like, you got it, you're cool, I got it, you can go. And so they're, I was just so delirious. I did the whole spider, whack.
Oh.
Uh-oh. And the lady just turns and looks at me like, what did you just do? And Nona, realizing what I just did, says, you should have seen the size of it. Oh, my God. She saved me. I would have probably been, who knows, man. That was pretty crazy.
That's hilarious.
It's so stupid, but fun. Like, I'll tell that story till the day I die.
Awesome.
So many more stories.
I'm sure.
Sure.
So this seems like a good time to move on to the reason why we're doing this interview, which is Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
Woohoo! So you played Hank in the 2023 movie adaptation of the video game.
I did.
How did you land that role? And were you familiar with the franchise beforehand?
So once I kind of went out to LA, I still did live shows, but I put all my apples mostly into film and television. And as a stuntman, and then as an actor, and then I get stunt acting gigs, and then I'd get just acting gigs, and then I get just stunt gigs. And there was a period of time where I had so many auditions coming at me, I'd lose track. And as an actor, I learned pretty early that don't put all my apples in one basket. When I audition, do the best I can and let it go. And if it comes back to me, woo, it's mine. And so I was full on into letting auditions go when I auditioned for Five Nights at Freddy's. And I had a whole bunch of auditions that landed right there in that area. And one of them was like this murder mystery. Then there was this one with my audition was being skewered by Bonnie the Bunny with his guitar, right? Which isn't what happened in the movie, which the fans like, oh, let's see that. But the interesting thing is that I didn't remember. Months went by, like 2 months went by from my audition. And I have an agent who she submits me to casting through the breakdown services. And she did so. And they wanted to see my audition. So I auditioned, and months went by, I forgot about it. And then my agent calls me up, says, hey, so they've got you, you're in the finals for the Five Nights at Freddy's film. I'm like, oh, cool. I thought it was like Five Nights at Reno or something. I thought it was like this, murder mystery. Everybody's in a hotel and they get killed off one by one. And I'm hanging out in Texas, visiting family now. And when I got the word, it was my 9-year-old nephew that they said, hey, you got Five Nights at Freddy's? Like, hey, I got Five Nights at Freddy's. And not thinking, I think it's this murder mystery thing. And my nephew's like, that's a video game. I'm like, no. I think it's something else. And he goes, no, it's a video game. It's got like animatronics, murderous animatronics. I'm like, wait a minute, I did audition for something like that. And turns out that's exactly what it was. And I had no clue. No, I had zero clue about the game. I didn't know, which really is upsetting to me because I thought I was down,
Yeah.
I thought I was relevant. I thought I knew everything that was going on with this, but it went right over my head. I had no clue. And so once my agent posted this big thing that says Christian's cast in a highly anticipated film, I'm like, highly anticipated? And I'm thinking, she's just blowing me up. That's my agent. That's what agents do. They blow you up. They make it. So I'm in a highly anticipated film. And so I'm walking around telling everybody, not even believing it, Buddy of mine shows up with the book. Says, look, here's a book with all the characters. I'm like, what? And I'm looking at, there's no Hank in here. So obviously, I don't know. It really dawned on me. It didn't dawn on me the first day until the first day on set. At this point, I'm aware of it. I know how big it is. But I don't know, right?
Yeah.
You've been being informed of something and understanding something are two different things. So I understood that this was a big project. And as we're getting on set for the first day, I'm coming up on the facade of the Five Nights at Freddy's set where we're about to break into the garage. The driver's talking about how they had to escort a bunch of fans from Brazil who flew in to sneak on the set and take photos. And I'm like, who does that? Who does that? And that's when I'm starting to get it. I'm like, oh my goodness, people actually flew here from Brazil to sneak on this set to take pictures, say they were there. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, then the very next day, my name was released on IMDb as Hank for Five Nights at Freddy's. And that day changed my life. That's the day that my social media, I'm not so curmudgeon like social media. I don't want to do all that. And the next day, my phone, the sound on my phone broke because in a 30-second period, I had 10,000 requests.
Wow.
And the notification going ding, 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 ding. And it just sounded like it was going ding. And it just quit.
Wow. Lee, you got in there at the right time, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy. So, and now, man, now these fans, after being in this for 2 years, like this is 2 years, the new movie's coming out this weekend. Yeah. I feel the love again, man. These guys, they don't stop. They're always there for you. They're always there to remind you, hey, we love you and we love Five Nights. And it has been one of the most craziest things, been an actor for 30 years of my life, stunts, and kind of came to a conclusion 20 years ago that I was never going to be the leading man, that I was going to be a character actor, and probably people wouldn't know my name. And I'm 50 years old now, and that shows up, and I'm like, what just happened? And it's crazy. I'm in a grocery store, and a little kid, I got a Five Nights at Freddy's shirt on, and goes, I love your shirt.
That is brilliant.
It's just crazy.
Well, so I was just telling Christian before we started recording that Krissa, I brought her in real fast. And I was like, hey, I'm interviewing somebody that was in Five Nights at Freddy's. She's like, oh my God. She ran out the room screaming, came back, had her little phone, poked her phone in the room, and took a picture of me recording to send to her.
Well, I love it. My nephew here, I'm visiting in Texas, and my nephew's like, hey, my buddy down the road, he and his sister, they love you. They want to come over and introduce. Is that I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I'm just going to tell you, it's so much fun. I don't understand the problem. I mean, granted, people are sneaking in my house at night. Yes. That might be problematic. But but I love it, man. I don't know. I love it. It's cool. It's a really cool experience to have people recognize you and and appreciate you being a part of something that's bigger than yourself. This thing is so much bigger than I ever would be, and just to be a part of it is it's a special gift.
It's awesome.
Hey, well, and Christian, as you know, because you have a nephew, kids are honest. And if
They
you
are.
sucked, they would tell you, but they
They would
love
tell
you.
you.
So there you go.
Well, and you know, I'll tell you something. So everybody calls me Uncle Hank. Well, in the movie, I wasn't Uncle Hank.
No.
In the movie, I was just Hank. And so it's like, well, where's this uncle stuff coming from? Well, so the fans at one point, they're like, we can't call you the father of FNAF because we've already got a father of FNAF. So we're going to call you the uncle of FNAF.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
So people started calling me Uncle Hank, and it stuck.
Nice.
To the point that people ask me, well, who are you the uncle of? I'm like, look, I'm not uncle of anybody in the movie. I'm uncle of FNAFdom, right? They've dubbed me Uncle
Nice.
Hank. And one of the funniest things is there was a novelization of the film, right? And in the novelization, it gets into a little backstory of who Hank is, and he's got a wife, and he lived next door to the babysitter, Max, and he was like an uncle to her. And so they took it after the fact. They took it in the movie and they canonized
That's
it. And
awesome.
made Uncle Hank. Isn't that crazy?
That's
the
amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is so cool. Like, again, like Christian, we talked about it, but like so I've seen the movie about 2 or 3 times now. We watched it when it came out, and then obviously I've watched it a couple of times in prep for Horror Nights this year. But then I watched your scene just before we started recording, and again, it's only a small part, but you know what? So memorable. Like, we talked about it before we started recording. There's a little story there with it, but just you are so memorable as a character, and I was actually grinning from ear to ear watching it again, thinking I'm going to be talking to this guy in a couple of hours, and then just watching that scene again. It's so awesome.
It was so much fun, and you know, it's funny because there are scenes that didn't make the movie. There's a scene where we're outside having a big discussion, and there's a dog that was in our scene. That didn't make the final cut. There's a lot of things that were set in that dialogue. Like, a lot of people didn't realize that Carl, the kid, was my son. The way it was scripted, he's my son.
Okay.
And so when you're looking through all the terrible things that's happening through the lens of a father watching his son, it explains why the dude starts freaking out. Now, my question always was, as Hank, I got so exuberant in breaking things that I left my baseball bat behind. If I had my baseball bat, it wouldn't have ended different.
Oh, yeah.
The same, but different.
But like, it was the thing that stuck out the most was that hilarious scream as you ran through the pizzeria, and you were telling us a story beforehand about that, because that wasn't meant to be the scene, was it?
No, it wasn't written in. So there was a bit written in where, as I'm destroying the place, I'm whistling the Toreador, the theme to the game, the music, and at some point, so the night before, I'd been out to karaoke with some of my friends, and so we were karaokeing to. I was singing some Guns N' Roses, I think.
Nice.
And so when that moment came, where and there's a bunch of things that happened that made it the way it was, because none of this was scripted. It just kind of happened in the moment. So I'd come back from that karaoke. Earlier in the day, they were doing a look-see. They wanted to show off the animatronics and see what they could do. I didn't want to see them because I knew I had a scene with them in about an hour or two.
Okay.
And I wanted, the first time I saw the animatronics was to be in the moment, right? So that I could honestly react to them. And so I did not know what these animatronics could do. I had no idea. And so I'm watching Cupcake chew off Carl's face, and that's terrifying. And then I look over to the side, and there's Chica, and Chica's head turns. She turns, squints her eyes, and they're all red. And I didn't know they could do that. And it started. And next thing I know, I'm bouncing around like R2-D2, running around the concourse. And so when that happened, the director was like, Christian, can you do that again? I'm like, I'll do that as much as you want me to. She's like, you've got to scream. Emma Tammy says, you've got to scream for horror movies. And it was hilarious. And apparently I did. But that's not the way I scream. The only reason that happened is the night before I'd been singing Guns N' Roses. And so that was where my pitch went. And it was crazy.
That is so great.
I love that, though. That scene wouldn't have been the same if you hadn't have been out the night before. It's awesome how little things like that people don't realize.
Completely changed it. And so when the first time I saw the film, I flew out to LA to watch a screening, and I was shocked because that's not what I wasn't expecting. That's not the way it was written. And so I was kind of taken aback, and I'm like, did I screw it up so bad that they had to do stuff? I mean, the thing that was going through my mind is like, I must have really messed up. They had to redo everything, and it wasn't until there was a screening 2 days later in New Orleans. I'd got back from. I live in New Orleans full time, and when I went to that screening, the whole audience erupted, and I'm like, that's why they did it. It's funny.
Yes,
it's not me. It's funny. so that's how the Scream came about, you know, and that's the beauty of the collaboration of making movies, because what was on that page, they ended up going with what was organically felt right in a film, and you know that bit, I think it was 5 minutes. I think it was on screen for 5 minutes. But that period in the movie, that's where all the kills happen. That's where that's where all the horror for the horror movie lies.
Yeah.
And so everybody, when you think about Five Nights at Freddy's, you fixate and you think back to those series of kills, and they're all interesting and weird and fun, you know. So there you go. That's how it happened, and that's my story.
So
I'm sticking to it.
Well, and that portion of horror is what brought this over to Universal. So
That's
full
right.
circle, here we come right back around to where you started
That's
with
right.
Halloween Horror Nights 34.
UUOP is brought to you by the Producers Club. Join today and get bonus episodes, the chance to be a guest host, birthday shoutouts on air, be part of our awesome Facebook community, and more. Head over to uuop.supercast.com to subscribe. Shameless plug.
So, as we all know, Five Nights at Freddy's was brought to life by Universal in conjunction with the Henson Group for this year's event. We know that you did have a chance to experience the house. What were your thoughts on it? And what was it like coming face to face with your character inside that house?
It was crazy. I figured once they announced that they were doing Five Nights at Freddy's, I figured that there had to be an element where my character or something similar to what happened to my character was going to happen. So I was already fired up to go check it out. Every year, so I run a big haunted house in New Orleans myself.
That's cool.
And so it's called the Mortuary Haunted House, and our team every year we go as like a team building thing. We go and experience Halloween Horror Nights together, and so we were all fired up because we all knew. So I'd start hearing rumors. Somebody had taken a picture of a guy that looked a lot like me. I'm like, who's that guy? And I'm like, that's you. I'm like, what? He's better looking than me. That can't be possible. So I now know that it's in there. I don't exactly know what form it's going to take, and I don't exactly know how it's going to play out. But that's the first house we went to, and we went in. And the first thing I can tell you is that the set is very much like the movie set. I mean, I had such a flashback to being on the set because, of course, some of it was changed because you got to have your maze and people to go. But everything, the detail was so amazing. I mean, I honestly felt like I spent a lot of time in the Five Nights at the Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria in between takes. In fact, that's the first time I ever played the game, was sitting at Freddys playing the game.
Nice.
Going, this is creepy, man. This is creepy. So
brilliant.
Turns out that this place, it was spitting image. I was blown away about how close it was to film perfect, right? It was fun watching, seeing the kids pop out, the animatronics come out, and Henson again did an amazing job. I was able to work with those animatronics on set, and the animatronics that I saw at Halloween Horror Nights, I know that one or two of them were puppets, but I couldn't tell.
Yes,
right.
I was like going, this is so good. And they did it so well that I couldn't tell the difference between what was animatronic and what was puppet performer. And of course, lo and behold, I come around whooped again by that Bonnie. That Bonnie. I will have you know, we have become great friends since, but I will never trust Bonnie in a closet ever. That's done. I tell everybody when I'll do a Comic-Con or something, I'm like, stay out of the supply closets because nothing good ever happened in a supply closet.
No,
that is correct.
So yes, it was fantastic, and I was able to get a picture with my guy.
Nice.
So we got a picture together, and then I actually became friends on Instagram with a couple of the guys that played me in California and in Orlando.
That's awesome.
So, I also told them, I said, I cannot believe that they're picking people better looking than me, man. You're making me work harder. Stop it. So, but it was great. It was great to be a part of that. And I have to admit, being in Orlando, I was strutting around a little bit. Like, yeah, I'm back. And when I leave, I'm still in there.
Yeah.
So and
it's so cool because we're, as Halloween Horror Nights fanatics, we're always talking about how amazing Universal houses are. It always feels like you're walking through the movie. Feels like you're walking through a movie set. But Lee and I have never been on a movie set, so we're just talking out of our butts. But to have an actual actor who was on the movie set say that is true, that's very cool.
It was very much so. I mean, I can't. I mean, I would give it an A+. I mean, 1 for 1. Aside from the maze where you had to walk, it looked exactly the same. So it's crazy. But yeah, the maze, you have to have the maze. How can you really get through it?
Yeah.
So, but the whole thing, the props, the set design, the animatronics, the actors, it was great. It was great. I really enjoyed myself.
Good. Well, I know from talking to people who we know who work on those houses that it was the most expensive house that Horror Nights have ever done, which doesn't surprise me. Yep, those animatronics cost a pretty penny, I'm sure. And the big question is now, what are they going to do with them now the event's over? It will be very interesting. But I think it also shows you again, Christian, that you found out through doing the movie what a feverish fan base Five Nights at Freddy's has, that house had consistently the longest wait at Horror Nights this year.
Absolutely. And and I kept pinging it back going, what's the wait tonight? I'm in New Orleans going, how long is the wait? Oh yeah. They're still up there.
Yeah.
And, they were consistently full. I love that. And they've got a new movie coming out in less than a week and a half. The new movie's coming out. They're going to have an opportunity to use those animatronics again, because I have no doubt that there will be another house at some point based on this new movie, and they've got more movies coming. So
interesting.
There's a good thing, good investment.
It's funny because the amount of times I went through that house, which wasn't that many because I wasn't waiting the 2 hours it was most nights. I think I went through it about 3 or 4 times. And every time I went through, obviously, Christian, you and I had talked and we'd arranged for you to come on the podcast. So every time I went through that room and saw your character there, I'd just go, oh yeah, we're going to be talking to him soon.
Isn't it? It's crazy. It's just crazy.
It's awesome though, isn't it? It's like,
it is.
It's just... Like you've kind of said how humble you are of your, that you've said that you've kind of come to terms with the fact that you're never going to be the leading man, but you've built a career for yourself in the film industry, but then still finding yourself in back, like Michelle said, bringing it full circle of starting in theme parks and kind of not ending because your career is not at end, but you know what I mean? At this point,
I do.
It's come full circle again.
And it wasn't lost on me. It's one of those things that Universal experience for me, working at Universal Studios from 1999 to 2004 or 5, when the show closed. It's been one of the greatest times of my life. And I living in Orlando and doing that Wild West show was, the most fun I've ever had, right? And so to be able to come back to Universal Studios and go through a Halloween Horror Nights, which I love Halloween Horror Nights as well, and see my character in a house, look, I would be telling a fib if I didn't say that I loved it so much. I was so ecstatic about it.
Aw, well deserved.
Because it's awesome. It's like, when do you get, again, not saying that you're a normal guy, but you know what I mean, to find yourself inside a Halloween Horror Nights house is awesome. Like, if that was me, I would be made up for the rest of my life. That's it. I can die happy now.
Well,
Lee's head would be way bigger than yours. I can tell you that for sure.
I consider myself a normal guy that does non-normal things, right? So to find myself in this situation, I don't even know how to deal with it. It's like one of those things that the fact that I'm in this film is thousands of people auditioned for this film, and some of them were really good,
Well, so
to get the film in the first place is humbling, and then to the place that you loved for your live show career, that place that was the pinnacle of what you wanted to be, and to have it come back and those two things collide. I'm a little bit numb, to be honest, and it'll probably be until next year when I'm like going, okay, where am I? Where am I? That's when I'll probably feel it, the most. But yeah, it's so awesome. It is so awesome. Words can't even describe the feeling of all of these different paths colliding in the same place. It's just awesome.
Also, I have to think my memory of that house is a little faded at this point, but are you the only character out of the guys that break in that's represented in the house?
No, there is my son is there. He pops out and his face is all
okay.
mangled,
Yes,
right. So he's there. Carl. Kat is or Max in the movie. She's in shadow place. So the shadow bites her in half. Right.
Okay.
And then I didn't see Jeff and me. So of that group, it was just me and my son that were actually there. And then, they've got the security guard from the beginning. He's in there running around. He's pretty funny. I know that guy, and it cracks me up to no end because he would be running around just exactly the same way. So it's so good. It was great to see all that, and it really brought back memories from both ends,
Yeah. Well, Christian, it's been an absolute honor to speak to you. It's been such a blast, honestly. I'm so happy that we got to do this.
Absolutely.
So before we go, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you've got coming up you think our listeners might be interested in? Any social media or anything you want some follows? Yeah,
you can follow me at Christian Stokes for real. That's the number 4 and spelled REEL. That's at Instagram, at Christian Stokes for real. I am launching this year a cocktail event. It's a repeat. It's called Tales of the Macabre. And it's at the Mortuary Haunted House in New Orleans. It's a cocktail event. You come in, you get your cocktail, you get a scary story, and then you walk through a bit of the haunted house, and so you get 4 of those. So it's pretty crazy. It was a huge success last year. We're bringing it back, and the stories are related to New Orleans folklore. So this year we have the Anne Rice vampires of the French Quarter.
Cool.
We've got a Jean Lafitte ghost ship story. We've got the Rougarou, the Cajun werewolf, and we've got the Curse of the LaLaurie House, which is a favorite from New Orleans. So all that mixed with cocktails, and then a huge variety show at the end. I call it the Vampire Variety Show, in a speakeasy that's hidden, and we start that in April, and that runs through June. And then I got a little bit on a little TV show called Tulsa King coming up at some point.
Yeah.
So very soon in 2026. So
yeah,
so cool.
And disclaimer: I always play bad guys. I always play like these scum of the earth. But the good news is most of the scum of earth I play, they get their comeuppance at the end, and that's always fun.
Right now, you just look like a big teddy bear Santa Claus, so I don't think you look like a bad guy at all.
That's what my friends say, so I'm gonna go with that.
Again, thank you so much, Christian. It's been awesome to speak to you.
Same here, man. I appreciate you guys bringing me aboard.
Of course. Well, that is going to wrap up another podcast. Don't forget, we still want you to rate the Freeze Rate Pops. You've got until December 5th to get your recordings into us at UUOpodcast.com. But for Christian and Michelle, we will see you back here next week.
That's the end of another Stella episode of UUOP. Use the Flu Network to give you access to us on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. And check out our blog at UUOpodcast.com for everything else. Send your owls to us at podcast@UUOpodcast.com. And if you want to join the Producers Club, jump down the warp pipe at UUOP.supercast.com. It's alive on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else the podcasts are found. So please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you can. Dragons aren't the only way to get around. Email Michelle at portkeyvacations.com. She can take care of all aspects of your next Universal Orlando vacation. Listen to them, the children of the night, the children of the UUOP network. Rush of Fear Halloween Horror Nights podcast, the theme park duo for all your West Coast news and info, the Taste of Universal Orlando Food podcast, Port Key Passport, an adult-centric Disney podcast, the unofficial Universal Great Britain podcast, and Big Dumb Stuff, our comedy, pop culture, and themed entertainment podcast. Make sure to subscribe and come back next week because in the end, it turns out all we needed was a little more of this.